Present. Ms. Richardson, she's here.
She muted.
No, she's unmuted.
No, then she's not speaking.
Yeah.
We can't
There we
hear
go.
Mr. Kaufman is the problem.
Okay.
We only got to hear when Ms. Boykin spoke.
Gotcha. Ms.
Oh.
Richardson?
Can you hear us now, Joy?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I don't think she can hear you. Miss Luella, can you hear them? Nah.
Yeah, I don't think she can hear. She's there. She might be frozen. Miss Luella, turn your volume up. It might be your volume. You are unmuted. All right, Mr. Kaufman, if we could come back to Ms.
Ms. Hopkins?
Here.
Mr. Tunnell? Present. Mr. Callahan?
Here.
Ms. Cook Henry?
Present.
Ms. Ivory?
Present.
And Ms. Boykins?
Present. Thank you, Mr. Kaufman. Next, we are going to go to our special presentations. Tonight, we have Alden Barrow Construction Project, and they'll be talking about updates on the project. We have, the presentation will be by Mr. Dan Procopio. And Mr. Procopio is the Alden Borough Council President, and Mr. John White is the Alden Borough Manager. Thank you very much for attending today. You have the floor.
Thank you very much, Madam President.
We want you to speak at the mic or move the mic with you as you talk. Yep, you can move around. That's fine. Thank you.
So I've been to a lot of meetings while you're technologically up.
Yes, we're working on
I
it. Thank you.
appreciate the opportunity. I know a number of you had walked this property when this project started. I think Mr. John, Ms. Hop, Ivory, and Ms. Darnell also was there. I don't know if anybody else was there. And I was not able to attend. But Mr. White's gonna do management presentation, but I appreciate it. I'm gonna be the guy holding up stuff, so I'll turn it over to Mr. White, who's been spearheading this plan to go along.
Thank you very much. So first, let me just give you the reason why we're doing this project. The building that we are currently in, we leased from Williamsburg School District 38 years ago on a 40-year lease. When the building was built, it was gigantic. There actually was extra rooms in it. Well, since the last 38 years, we've really outgrown it. We're at a point now where we used to have 3 full-time police officers, 1 per shift. Now we're at a point where we have 9. And we have 3 part-timers. So as you can see here, this is the men's locker room. Let me point it that way.
Oh, sure, so the public can see. Yep, we see it too.
So this is the men's locker room, as you can see, basically about 3 feet from the toilet. That's how damp it is. This would be a holding cell, which is very rarely used, but occasionally when something happens where you have to hold somebody, that's all we have. This is the ladies' locker room. We currently have 1 female officer, and we are hiring 2 more within the next 2 months. So they are actually sharing that with the public, basically, the public. This is our evidence room here, which is also our locker room for winter clothing for the police. This is our server room, computer room. Actually, it's our counter for the lunchroom as well. So as you can see, we're really tight on top of each other. This is our sergeant's office and our code department. We're sharing the same office. And this is our backroom storage along with where we put another code officer. So as you can see, we're really tight on top of each other. So with that, we received a grant to start this project. And this is some of the renderings of the new building. This would be from, this is the parking lot for Alden Elementary. So there will be a couple of ADA handicap spots coming off the parking lot.
Coming off?
coming off of, as soon as you come in the parking lot,
Yeah.
there will be two
Okay.
ADA spots.
Additional spots.
Additional.
Got it. I thought they were being removed.
There'll be two entrances, an after-hours entrance for the police department. We're gonna have a foyer here coming off of Providence Road for admin and police during the day.
Okay,
This is just a picture of the front facade
That would face Providence.
that would face Providence. Okay, these are basically elevations and renderings of what the building's gonna look like from the elementary school side. This is what it's gonna look like. You guys see it?
Is it in this?
oh, we
Yeah,
have,
there.
we have it in the packet, yeah,
And this is actually the floor plan of what the building is going to be.
awesome. So now you have room.
So
for-
now we have room, and we're actually, this is a little bigger than we need today,
Okay,
because we are also doing the same thing somebody did in 1988. We're projecting this for 40 to 50 years. So even though it's, the additional space is there, it's gonna be needed in the future.
you said for 40 or 50 years?
Well, we're looking for a 40 or 50-year building at this point.
Okay, got you.
Which is what the original building, when they put it in, they were projecting out 40 years, and we're at 38 years now.
Yeah.
They were pretty close.
Yeah,
Where's your office, John?
Where's my office? The new one is gonna be
No,
right
no,
here.
the old one.
Oh, the old one, it is in between that server room and the ladies' room.
oh, wow, that's.
So it's,
not-
it's pretty small.
Yeah,
That originally, that was meant to be the mayor's office in 88. But since our mayor doesn't work out of the building, I winded up taking the call.
Also,
Oh,
at that
so-
time, the borough didn't have a borough manager.
Oh.
Mr. White is our first borough manager during their 11th year now.
Right, 11th year.
So we were one of the last municipalities that didn't have a borough manager, but as you all know, God bless school directors because it's way more complicated, but it's gotten more complicated. So you need to have somebody that stays on top of everything.
So-
A lot of this is driven by the police requirements.
Yes, so there's a lot of rules now with the police department where, when you're looking at this here, the processing, the holding cells, et cetera. And everything that the juveniles have to be totally separated.
Yeah.
From any adult coming in out of sight, out of sound. So, let's hope that this area never gets used, but if it happens to, at least we're compliant with everything that is needed.
agreed.
Well, yes, so this year, coming off of the parking lot, we will have a garage. If they're arresting somebody, that person never gets out of the car. They stay in the car, they go into the building, the garage door gets shut behind them, everything gets taken care of right here in this orange section.
Okay,
So that's all for safety reasons.
makes sense. 1 second, Jen Hoff has a question.
Yes.
Do you have any cameras on the back of the building? There's this dead space between the school and the building. Are there cameras back
So
there?
currently, right now, we have 8 cameras on the building.
Okay. I'm
So I can
asking,
see from the back of our building, I can see all the way down to Woodlawn Avenue.
okay,
On the front of our building or the parking lot side, I actually have one on the front and left side facing the parking lot. As a matter of fact, the one on the right side of the building has captured multiple accidents on Providence and Clifton Avenue where
Yeah.
everybody says it's not my fault. We've determined whose fault it was.
so my question is in the dead space. I can't tell right from left from
Sure.
sitting here. So in that dead space, or is that something that William Penn should take on? Because of, right, you have two buildings, you have a large 20 to 30 foot by 50-foot dead space,
Yeah,
right? Where you,
behind us,
yeah,
Yes.
you don't have windows on it, cause I'm looking at the doors.
right.
We don't have windows on it.
So what do you,
Well, there are windows on where you see the manager and the code department.
No, I'm talking about this back. Right, these are
Oh, okay,
doors,
yep.
right? And I'm asking if anyone has cameras on.
We are gonna have them on the new building.
Okay.
But we also have one, like I said, right now, on the existing building.
so you have.
I'm just
a
asking about
360
the dead space
Yep.
being secure.
Yep.
That's all.
Okay, so let me just give you some quick timelines. It's already out to bid. Our bid opening date is set for 9/9.
Okay,
We're gonna review the bids for 10 days. If they're acceptable, council will vote on that on 9/18.
Okay,
Before we do any of the bidding, we're gonna have a pre-construction meeting on 8/27. And this is where I would like to invite somebody from the school district, whether it's Mr. Kaufman or Mr. Deans over there, just to come out. And the reason for that is we want the construction, whoever's awarded the project, understand that we will have 0 deliveries between 7:30 in the morning and 8:30 and from 2:30 to 4 o'clock due to the school buses coming in.
makes sense. So
And if
you,
you guys have any other suggestions, please let me know and we'll be glad to work them. But that's the idea of the pre-construction meeting. This is for anybody who's bidding on the project. So we don't want somebody coming in saying, well, we didn't know. Well, you're gonna know up front. So if you guys have any questions, bring it to our attention, or, you're more than welcome to come to the meeting. That's gonna be at the municipal building. So we're gonna walk the sight line. We're gonna go over where the fence is gonna be surrounding the whole project.
and it's August 27th. Dr. Picos, you want to send somebody? Yeah, or-
We will try to make arrangements to have someone there.
Okay.
Thanks for letting us,
Well, I don't have time yet, but I'll make sure, Mr. Kaufman, I'll let you know.
thanks for letting us know about it and
Sure.
even having that type of attitude with consideration, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Some people
Absolutely.
don't think about that, so thank you for thinking. about it.
Sure.
Well, we've also made arrangements with the Alden Union Church. They have a lot across Providence Road.
Mhm.
And we made arrangements with them that construction workers can park their vehicles there, so
Okay.
they're not taking up any space. for the teachers. And we're working, as John said, with the contractors to make sure they understand the limitations of what can and can't be delivered and where and when. So as to not interrupt school.
Awesome.
Will all the contractors have clearances since it's so close to the school? There's
It's
a
good
lot of,
question, but now that you brought it up, we will make sure that everybody has a clearance, knowing that they're on school property.
Makes sense. Makes sense. That's
We'll make sure it's part of the pre-construction meeting. Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
you said 7 to 8:30 for buses?
Well, your buses start coming in actually
Right,
somewhere around that
I
timeline,
would go 7 to 9,
which is fine,
Yeah.
absolutely.
and then,
So we can say all deliveries are between 9 and 2.
right, that would be perfect.
That makes sense.
Well, Dr. Watson, will she be invited to the, to that?
Reconstruction.
We will make sure that she is aware.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She's the first.
Yes.
Cool.
I didn't know if you were her first name.
Yeah.
That's.
You're bidding this out for new construction, right? Not modular or any of that?
It's brand new.
Yeah.
So it's 2 phases. First of all, the existing building that we're in is 48 by 48. The building that's going on is 48 by 75, so we are going westward towards Providence.
Okay.
So phase 1 is going to be the new addition,
Mhm.
48 by 75. Once that is done, we will move everything from the existing building into the new building, retrofit the old building, and then we would move everybody, basically, the floor plan. So basically, most of the police department is going to be in the existing building. But once phase 1 is done, we're going to incorporate what they have now into this building. We figured we would use the training room, the code room, and the locker rooms for the police department. It's still gonna be bigger than what we're in now, which is tight.
Okay.
So once that's done, they'll move back into their building. And the timeline for this whole project is roughly 9 months to a year is what they're telling us.
Okay.
Obviously, it's gonna depend on weather. We've had 10 very nice winters. So let's hope we have an 11th and we can get this done in 9 months.
And with regard to safety, all that's gonna be planned out as well, just making sure like at nighttime, now I gotta worry about, cause we had to worry about that at Kerrfield.
Sure.
People coming at night bothering things and,
Well, the good thing, it's already on an existing police department,
yeah,
so.
hopefully it don't, hopefully, you never know around here.
But we will continue to keep the cameras up.
Yeah,
I'm sure that whoever the contractor is gonna want some of their own cameras
yeah,
on the job site.
yeah. Okay,
Are they gonna put temporary fencing to secure their equipment?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
that's what I was,
Yes.
yep,
Yeah, I don't think it's on the plans here, but there is a plan showing temporarily the way the fencing is gonna be around the property, so that it can be covered, during the day and at night.
Yeah. Awesome.
Essentially, I think the current building comes about that line there, is that about right?
Pretty much.
Yeah, hopefully, this is a landscape.
Overhead rendering.
Well, essentially, the current building comes to about here, and then this is the additional part. You might see a little checkered line. That was, I think, the original walkthrough, that's where the limit was gonna be. A little thing called money has helped reduce the size of the building.
Well, that's when we went from 100 feet down to 75.
Yeah.
Okay.
We started at 2.5 million was projected in the last cost estimate.
Oh,
I was speaking with Mr. Kaufman earlier before we came on, and he was telling me, you're obviously seeing the same thing in your construction projects too, how the costs
yes, we have.
have escalated. So I will say this, depending on what the bids come in at, this may go forward or it may get rejected if it's too high.
Well, hopefully it does go. through.
Hopefully it goes through because we could use it, and we certainly appreciate the cooperation we've had with the school district with all the leases and the use and the share of the fields. So
How much was your grant?
That's what I was gonna say.
we got a $1 million grant initially from the state.
The RACP grant.
And we've applied through our congresswoman for a grant for the same amount. We originally asked for 1.25 because it was supposed to be 50% of construction, and we ended up only getting $1 million.
Okay,
So we haven't heard on the other grant yet. Hopefully it comes through,
yeah,
but we're going out for a bond issue. Hopefully if everything meets requirements this coming Wednesday at our meeting.
okay.
And then we'll see where the bids come in next month. It's a little behind where it was originally supposed to be. We were supposed to have the bids in by this point in time, but
Okay,
things are
okay.
pushed out. Somebody laughed somewhere.
Yeah, this is Joy. And I was gonna ask, what was the difference between when we met you guys on site and we did the tour and now? And I remember then you were talking about the grant was supposed to be in blah, 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 whatever that date was you just said. So then I'm like, okay, so I thought we already did this process and we were past this because I think majority of us that was there was agreeing that this needs to happen. So I was really trying to put this all together in my head of what we were doing tonight. So thanks for answering that. I appreciate that.
We want to give
We want to
everybody
keep
an
you
update.
updated, and we wanted to loop everybody in once the meeting happens for the reconstruction, so that everything goes smoothly once we break ground.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions?
Yes, does anyone have any questions before they close up?
No, if the board could get a copy of the contract just to review on the property. I know we did it a while ago. The lease on the property.
The lease, yeah, we.
Well, there was a glitch in terms of finalizing the lease. It's been about 10 months. We had to go back and resurvey
Okay,
because neither we nor you could find a survey for part of the property. So we had the property surveyed,
okay,
and we'll be back shortly with a completely revised and all the documents in order. There was discussion back in September, October, and that's when we were looked through all of our documents and was like, wait a minute. There's a lease here, but where's the description? And there was nobody had a copy of it. So we actually have had a property resurvey.
all right,
And we'll be back with that to finalize it. So as you know, there's multiple leases because it started with the back field in '96,
right.
and then it was the front field, and then the municipal building was first 4 years ago.
Right.
So
We just asked for a little adjustment on the time that the fields could be used by us.
I think there was some consideration of change.
Right.
That was something we said we could discuss.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
Right,
And your other request was to also combine all the leases.
Yes.
into one.
Correct.
Well, that was when it came up, we found out that there was a section of the property that hadn't been surveyed, or had been surveyed, but nobody could find it.
Right.
So we had to go back out and have it resurveyed again to make sure that the entire property is covered description wise in the lease, and that. Our hope is to have that back in front of the board by next September, by next month, or October at the latest.
Can I ask, when you do that, if you could, I'm not sure if Mac, our current youth club, if they could provide us with their schedule, so we could, so the board could see why it's beneficial to have the hours that they have, because, you know, we're
Yep.
always against
Yep.
nighttime.
Sure, yeah, well, especially in soccer. season.
Right,
They're
and that's their
dark
biggest
early.
thing. Right,
They're in the process of signing up with the soccer for the ball season
Right.
right now anyway.
yeah, if they could, lend a
I-
schedule for us, so that way we could have that information.
Right, I had just asked for that consideration
Sure.
in case we have to move fields and use that field for a soccer game,
Sure.
JV game, or whatever the case.
I think there have been over the years, been some, since '96 when that happened.
Right,
Of
Do
the
we-
planning commission time, there have been some accommodations for
right,
utilization of the fields,
Right.
not too that being a major problem.
right. And the tennis courts, are they on that contract also?
No, the tennis
They're-
courts were never part of any of the lease.
Great. Great.
agreements.
Right,
Um,
fantastic.
yeah,
Because the high school construction may precipitate us doing something.
well, if you let us know, that we just did a park study last year, and, part of it was what to do with the tennis courts. We haven't moved on it yet, but there were some conceptual plans that came up, so if you've got something that's pending, we'd be happy to, coordinate with you on the situation.
You should.
So Mr. Tong is our chair of,
Yeah,
so property, yes, so he'll make sure he'll talk to you and arrange meetings about that
Yeah.
with Darnell as well too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because that's gonna be important.
But I want to say thank you for coming out and thank you for keeping us up to date of what's going on. And we're really happy that you have this grant. And we're always here to work with Alden,
Great.
class of 96. But I had to slide that in, but thank you so much for your time.
We appreciate
Thank
it
you
Thank
very
you,
much.
thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, next we're gonna go to our PLC audit presentation. And this presentation is going to be presented by Rebecca Smith from the DCIU. Hello, Rebecca, you have the floor.
Thank you very much for having me tonight, and also for,
1 second,
No,
Rebecca.
excuse me, just before Ms. Smith starts, I just wanted to make sure that the board knew that this is being presented to the board. This is one of the items that's in our strategic plan that we said we would do.
Mhm.
So that's why the information is being brought to the board. And also joining Ms. Smith is Sarah Christensen, who is the Assistant Director of Teaching and Learning at the DCIU, who also supports a lot of the efforts here in our district.
Oh, also, welcome, Sarah, as well.
Sorry, Sarah, and now, Rebecca, I'm sorry, you can proceed.
thank you. I just wanted to start by saying thank you to all of you for, working with Delaware County Intermediate Unit on this program review. It was a great, very collaborative process with the PLC staff and the district staff. And I'm excited to get to report back the results to you. First, I'd like to start all of my program review presentations with what a program review process is, and it really is a process in which we partner with the district or school to look at the status, effectiveness, and progress of an academic program and help identify a future direction. So it really is a snapshot of what a program or curriculum looks like at a certain time, in this case, spring 2024, and a roadmap to where you could go. Because you are going to see both strengths and needs identified and a lot of recommendations. I also like to include that at no part of any of this is there any value judgment. We saw a lot of great hardworking teachers, great hardworking students, great hardworking families and staff, district staff as well. And nothing I'm about to say is any judgment at all. We just want to partner with you and make things stronger. And nothing is about any individual. It's really a review of the program itself and not any one individual person's particle in it. As you likely already know, the personalized learning community is part of William Penn School District as a tuition-free online education for students who can attend fully remotely or in some brick and mortar setting. Their full K-12 education here. As you heard from Dr. Beacoats, part of this process was fitting in with your strategic plan. And the goal is to help ensure that the PLC established in COVID continues to be valuable and supportive to your students after COVID. And we worked with the district in April and May to do a very extensive review of district documents, the online platforms that you're using, research analysis of academic peer-reviewed data, and spent a lot of time talking to, in form of both interviews and focus groups and surveys, the teachers, students, the parents, and the district administrators, including the building administrators, at the brick and mortar sites about the PLC. And so systematic review and database review of, the documents and what the program itself is, and also really wanted to elevate the voice of the people who are interacting with the PLC. Your full reports have an extensive overview of the research section. I just want to highlight a couple key components. In the research section of the report and included in the full appendices, because we thought they were very valuable to the work of the PLC, are a sense of the national standards for quality online programs and the national standards for quality online teaching. They're not like state standards that you're required to do, but they do set a very thoughtful research-backed framework for how online learning can be successful for K-12 students. And those standards are reflected in the areas on the screen before you, but really the overall framework, so the leadership, governance, mission, vision, and policies of the online learning experience, the curriculum, instruction, and assessment components, and all of the support that's provided for families, students, and staff. And then you're already doing the last piece, continuous program evaluation. We also provided some academic peer-reviewed research about what are the effective conditions or the essential components and conditions for a successful online learning experience. And a lot of the research is really coming down to making sure that the educators who are delivering online programs have specific and unique training to what it's like to teach and lead an online program. Ensuring that students and teachers are equipped with the technology and skills to use that technology to access the program, and focusing on specifically in an online environment, students need more self-regulation and self-starting skills than they would need in a typical brick and mortar school when they have a teacher in the room with them. So making sure that you're promoting those self-directed learning skills intentionally with your students. And then we also provided some very specific components of research in areas that came up throughout the review, about building classroom community, how a district might look at providing special education support in an online environment, equitable and individualized learning practices, considerations for discipline, and discipline meaning both any behavior and classroom management expectations that might come up in the online environment, but also non-behavior such as absenteeism. And then how the systems between brick and mortar schools and the online school interact and are similar for guidance plans and career readiness. We identified 3 major priority areas for the report that we dove into. They reflect those national standards for quality online programs. So first, really like program design and leadership, and I'll dive more into curriculum, instruction assessment practices, and then student support and family support and staff support practices. I would start by saying districts wanted to really shine throughout the report. That the staff reiterated time and time again how supported they felt by their administrator and how supported they felt by each other as a collaborative working team. And many of them said that it was the best teaching experience of their whole career because they had that support from their colleagues and their direct supervisor. There's also a good amount of flexibility for in-person and online instruction when needed, so students are able to come in for tutoring, and that is backed by the standards that you have provided for you, that when students need more than just online, that they're able to access that. There is ongoing professional development provided to teachers, follows the same professional development schedule as all of the brick and mortar teachers. And big strength in being vulnerable enough to engage in the reflective practice of program evaluation and continuously get better and stronger in how you're operating. Some needs that emerged were clarity around the PLC's overall mission, vision, and purpose. Stated purpose is about providing optimal learning environments for students who are going to thrive in the online community, and some of the feedback we received was about, students who had no choice but to attend the online learning community, so just being clear about the purpose. And that will help guide the systems and structures and how you build out the rest of the program. Additionally, there seems to be some gaps in communication around brick and mortar building administrators' understanding of purpose behind PLC and the PLC teachers' understanding of the purpose of PLC. Which again is bridging understanding and overall purpose and mission and why will help to more collaboratively and better serve those students. This particularly came up when it was related to supporting special education students during their transition from a brick and mortar school to the PLC. So clear communication, clear transition process, and also a more formalized structure for what could or could not be supported in the PLC for a special education student. The recommendation of enhancing the accuracy of information on the PLC website. DCIU just went through a website transition ourselves, so I would say that with the generosity of making sure everything on the website is updated all the time can be challenging. But there are some links there that are referring back to building links, such as meal plans or schedules. And we just want to make sure that families can access the correct information that they need for the PLC. And again, that was April or May, so could have changed over the summer. Addressing considerations around support for students with special education needs. So part of the standards are saying that it should be clearly stated eligibility requirements and clearly defined accommodations available. So just making sure that those are particularly spelled out and discussed with families when they're entering into the PLC. And then some of the feedback around on-track graduation was that the PLC counselor didn't always feel like she received or was communicated with the other brick and mortar high school counselors on the graduation requirements. So just as students move in and out of PLC, making sure that all counselors are aware of both the legal requirements and the students' individual graduation plans. Our second big area is looking at the overall academic structure of the PLC. One really big strong strength that came out from both teachers and students is that students have a lot of time, many years over, that they see the same teacher over and over again. And so there's a lot of ability for teachers to build community with those students. And also for teachers to really know those students and be able to personalize things to those students. So that's a strong research fact. Another thing I'd like to highlight is the availability for tutoring that is available through the PLC. So all student schedules include numbers available to get one-to-one support from their teacher and tutoring, as well as through the Educate online platforms. And students really so that their interaction with teachers through that space is one of the most helpful components of their education at the PLC. Also highlighting that there's both opportunities for synchronous and asynchronous learning. So again, students really like the synchronous opportunities with their teachers. They really love that component, but they're in online school because they might need some extra flexibility, and that asynchronous learning helps them achieve that. Another strong strength is that the PLC has developed the PLC curriculum to match the graduation requirements of William Penn School District. And so it helps align consistency in the academic experience students receive, but it also helps consistency when a student might transition mid-year, mid-semester, mid-quarter, that they're able to pick up with Algebra 1 in the same way that they left the brick and mortar building. Students also thought it was helpful that their teachers allowed them opportunities to redo assignments. There's some research-backed evidence that is a helpful support, that students will learn better when they can redo their assignment and retain that content better than just, a red X on the wrong answer. And then secondary students reported that the platform is generally user-friendly and accessible for them to engage with. Elementary students reported more difficulty with navigating the online platform. So there's some suggestions throughout the report about how, especially the youngest learners may need more support when they're onboarded. And their families might need more support because the way that you would support a first grader might be different than a 12th grader. So just making sure that students really, especially the youngest students, are developing those skills to be able to access their learning content. Students also reported feeling overwhelmed with their coursework, and that they are feeling like it's too much to keep track of. We were able to see a student view of the online Edgenuity platform and could see that like once a student's behind it, it may feel intimidating to get a big like 32 hours of Algebra 1. And so students are reporting that that is one thing that's making it harder for them to be motivated in doing the work, is when they feel overwhelmed. Students also reported that some of the curriculum felt repetitive, so they feel like they're learning the same thing in classes over and over again, or there weren't enough extracurricular options for them to feel very engaged or motivated. We have a need here identified around data. You have a lot of data available to you to inform instruction, both through student on-pace data, which teachers are looking at, like whether students are or not on pace, but also all of the students take the math assessment, just like all of the brick and mortar students. It wasn't super evident how teachers in the PLC were using the math data to inform their instruction for the PLC students. We also identified use of synchronous time as something that could be more engaging. Students are reporting that sometimes they come in for their synchronous days and they're put in one-on-one breakout rooms on Zoom, and they are advocating for themselves to experience more peer-to-peer opportunities. And the research would support that building online connections, building community, having students work together in more authentic ways, may be a better use of that synchronous time. Attendance came up as a significant challenge from teachers. And teachers and staff felt that more family communication, but also more family accountability in how the district may come to a family and say this is not working for your student. Should they come back to a brick and mortar building, was a consideration that was brought up. And then again, supportive systems and structures for students with special education needs, and considering how teachers are being prepared for those unique needs in an online environment. And our last big section is about support systems. There was a significant strength identified by both staff and administrators that a huge strength of the PLC is the ability to provide graduation support for students who may have very unique needs or challenges in being able to graduate on time. So offering credit recovery, offering flexible times, being a huge opportunity and advantage to a student who may need those in order to graduate with a high school diploma. Also strength identified around having a special education liaison available to set up any accessibility features in the online system, such as reading text out loud or extra time on tests. As I said in the beginning, strong report about positive staff culture at the PLC. You're providing technology to students, so accessibility is already a factor in your consideration. And staff can receive timely assistance from both internal technology support and also the Edgenuity platforms that they contract with if they need extra help. Students receive an orientation session on how to use those, so that's a strength that we've identified. Some need an ability to differentiate that for different audiences for younger learners. And then Edgenuity was strongly reported as a primary platform that people enjoyed using. Needs identified here, great strength that teachers have opportunities to engage in professional development. The need here is identified about making sure that they receive continuous and ongoing professional development in areas just related to online learning, and they need unique considerations in that environment. There were some inconsistencies reported in the types of special education services that might be supported from a student from one building versus another. And just making sure that all William Penn students receive similar services for similar needs. Outreach to parents and guardians was cited as a need, particularly for how to reach out to students who are chronically absent. So figuring out inventive ways to partner better with families in their student education. And providing support to students who may feel disengaged, unmotivated, or too overwhelmed by the amount of so on top of that, we provided 7 recommendations. First, as you've already heard me hint at, making sure that there's specific to online learning, professional development available to PLC teachers. A recommendation around really stronger, clearer guidelines for all levels of the PLC, but particularly the special education documentation, and making sure that that's in compliance with all of the federal regulations we have to go through, but also it's just about effectively supporting your students in the learning environment that they are in, and providing them services that ensure that they'll be successful in their learning. Providing differentiated family onboarding programs, and offering families resources such as a workshop, if they wanted to be able to better use their students' online platform, especially for those younger kids. Looking at student support, so if students are overwhelmed, how can we help them to not feel overwhelmed? One core recommendation we have around this is thinking about flexibility of programming. So an example you'll see in your recommendations is around use of homeroom and advisory time. And one of the key benefits of an online learning environment is its flexibility. So if students are entering the PLC because they work overnight and they can't be here at 7:30 a.m. for homeroom, maybe there's an opportunity to have PLC homeroom at 7:30 and 3:30. So students who were already not attending brick and mortar homeroom probably still won't attend 7:30 PLC homeroom. But they might if there's increased flexible opportunities. There's a big recommendation around enhancing an MTSS framework. I know that that's already in progress for the PLC, and aligning it to district MTSS practices, but just ensuring that there's strong tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 systems for all students in place, and also that we're thinking through how those things interact in the unique circumstances of an online environment, and then also considering individualized student success plans. Again, one of the key drivers of the PLC is that students have the opportunity to have flexible learning experiences. And with that opportunity, there's a lot of ability to tailor a learning plan to an individual student's goals. Clear documentation, I started by saying specific to special education considerations. But again, across the board, board policies, administrative regulations, and manuals of practice, just so that there are not those misconceptions about what PLC is, does, or can provide. I think I used my homeroom and advisory time example already. And professional development, not only for the people, but the counselor and PLC as well.
Thank you very much. We greatly appreciate that feedback. Madam President, I'll turn it over to you for board members to ask any questions or get some clarification.
So I just want to say thank you for such in-depth research, and also just the categories that you utilize to make sure we get the full scope of understanding of how what strengths and weaknesses that we may have. Because I did wear 2 hats in being a basketball coach. Some of the things that you were saying, I'm up here writing things down, because me having kids on my team that were in the PLC or changed from being in the brick and mortar to PLC, I actually had hands-on experience. So some of this stuff definitely sticks out to me. But I'm just really glad that you also suggested, some corrective actions. Thank you.
And some of the items that have been suggested, we have already begun to put into place. I also think that the reorganization that we have by having the PLC as a part of the academic services unit definitely will help as it relates to the connection between special education. And so we're on that trajectory, and we will make sure that we give the board an update probably at an education committee meeting, probably in either October or November, as it relates to these findings and where we are and what we've done.
Recommendation in terms of the professional development. Are there opportunities where PLC teachers are able to interact with brick and mortar teachers for like best practice, or in terms of if they have the student, maybe have an experience with that, do they have the opportunity to interact with one another?
I would say yes. I think we can probably strengthen it. One of the suggestions that I did see though was more around providing them with professional development as it relates to online instruction. So I think that might be something that we can look at as well to better support them. Are there any board members that have questions that are on the Zoom? Ms. Cook-Henry?
Yes, I'm wondering how much the PLC is using Dana Keith as a resource for connecting families with the challenges that have been described with participation.
He is regularly involved with the PLC and the counselor that was in place this past year. And so we will continue to utilize our attendance staff to help in that regard. And so, with these suggestions, there are some specific strategies that we will be enhancing and putting into place as we begin this year.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other board members or any hands up?
Yeah, nope, not at all. Any more no other questions? Okay, so I want to say thank you very much, Ms. Smith, for taking the time to deliver I guess I would say the information from DCIU for this, and thank you very much. And also thank you, Sarah, as well.
Thank you for allowing us.
Yes. So, Dr. Bicoots, I was just going to ask from the suggestions that she had given us, if the board, when you come back, thank you guys very much. Have a good night.
Good night.
If we can go kind of have a meeting about it, going line by line of what corrective actions you put in to address each item at a later date. I know you're working on it, you just were presented it, but if we could have a meeting just to go line by line and say, okay, this is how we address this area and so forth, so we know how to move forward, and just so the board is knowledgeable.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, so with that being said, and also I want to say thank you very much for doing the PLC audit, because to be honest, if I'm on the board and I'm thinking, I don't remember us doing a PLC audit in some time.
PLC didn't exist.
Well, we
It
had,
came from COVID.
yeah, I'm just saying, like, we will even, just in generally, when we first started it in the beginning, like for now, till now, maybe we could have had little incremental ones, but for now, yes, thank you. All right. Oh, Miss Alexandra, yes, Miss Alexandra, you have the floor. Thank you.
I don't see that we've let her in. Oh, there she is.
Oh, Miss Ava, okay. Miss Ava, your mic is, there you go.
Hi, I didn't want to speak. I just, I wanted to listen to the audit. I appreciate that the audit was done and that suggestions were made, and we just look forward to a new school year.
Absolutely.
Yep, but I just wanted to make sure, that everything was reported and it looks like it was, and suggestions were made, and, we're very happy with the PLC. We have a lot of students who've been very, very successful and continue to be successful. So we appreciate that, some time was highlighted to improve our program.
Yes, thank you very much, Ms.
You're
Ava.
welcome.
We get better, so, thank you.
You're
All
welcome.
right, if there's no more questions, we have no motions for action. We're going to review of our proposed agenda for business meetings, so if we can go to that, our agenda items. So we'll start by, our community relations, I'm sorry, yeah, we're gonna go right to our committee reports. So, I'll start with the community relations agenda. A1, school opening. A2, children health insurance program. A3, Sunbucks benefits. A4, voting information. And that is all for the community relations agenda. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns? Yes, Jen?
I want to encourage everyone listening to this to get on their Sunbucks and see if they are eligible. The program came out late. It closes August 31st. I think a lot of folks missed, not their fault, missed the boat on it. I think when we have programs like this, and not us, EBT, they should do a way better job of promoting them. For it to come out, I think it came out the latter part of July. And it was supposed to help with summer. So it didn't.
Excuse me.
But it closes August 31st. So if you think anyone in your community qualifies, please, please, please fill out the forms. The money goes back in the kitty. If it doesn't get used, it doesn't go to anything good. This is a decent program. If it had, it's not a lot of money to our citizens, but everything else when we try to feed our young people.
Thank you very much. Any other comments, questions, or concerns with regard to our community relations agenda? All right, here you're seeing none. We're going to go next to our education committee agenda read by our chair, Ms. Valerie Cook Henry.
Good evening. B1, contract with Dr. Sonia Barbosa West for the 2024-2025 school year. B2, agreement with the U.S. Medical Staffing. B3, agreement with Delta T Group. B4, contract with Dr. Robert F. Singh for the 2024-2025 school year. B5, the agreement with General Health Care Resources. B6, the 2024-2025 Lakeside agreement. B7, Care Solace Mental Health Services. B8, expulsion waiver agreements. B9, Thomas Ruder Clear. And B10, release and settlement agreement. And I would just add, it was seen earlier in the community relations, the back to school nights. You'll see that in September, there will be no education committee meeting with the encouragement of significant participation from board members in our community and back to school night. So that concludes my report, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Ms. Cook Henry. Does anyone have any comments, questions, or concerns at this time with regard to our education committee agenda? All right. Yes, Ms. Hall?
I'm sorry, as I stated before, those contracts are unavailable currently and will be made available, in the PDF called two posts with the date 9/26 on it, 8/26.
Thank you. All right, next, we're gonna move to our Personnel Committee agenda, read by our chair, Ms. Wadia Ivory.
Madam President, good
Yeah.
evening. C1, there are no retirements. C2, resignations. C3, appointments. And again, welcome to the new members of the William Penn School District. C4, changes in assignment. C5, leaves of absence. C6, there are no mentors. There are no miscellaneous for C7. We do not have any tenure awards. C9, there are no salary track changes. C10, miscellaneous personnel items. C11, modifications to previously approved items. In addition to the agenda, we have C12, additions to the agenda, there are none. Madam President, that concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ivory. Are there any comments, questions, concerns to our Personnel Committee agenda at this time? Hearing or seeing none, thank you very much, Ms. Ivory. Next, there is no information for our Property Committee agenda, but I would like to give Mr. Tong the floor if he has anything to announce from our chair.
Not at this time. Thank you, Madam President.
You're not busy over there. Thank you, Mr. Tong. No, that's right.
Right, you just got buried.
Property is always busy, right? So next, we're gonna go to our Budget and Finance Committee agenda read by our chair, Ms. Jennifer Hall.
E1 treasurer, thanks, Ms. Boykins. E1 treasurer's report, E2 list of bills. I wasn't here in July, my apologies, but I do want to report that we did have to take the Tran because of the late notice of funding from the state legislators.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hall. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns to our Budget and Finance agenda at this time? All right, hearing or seeing none. Next, we're gonna go to our Policy Committee agenda. Looks like there is nothing for our Policy Committee agenda, but I do want to give Ms. Ms. Hopkins the floor, Lord. Ms. Hopkins the floor. Would you like to say anything, Ms. Hopkins? I forgot her name, Edward, Lord.
Okay, keep forgetting my name, okay. Thank you, Ms. Boykins. The only thing is that we will resume our policy board meetings starting in September, and I hope everyone had a great summer.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Ms. Hopkins. At this time, there's no solicitor report at this time, but there will be information at our board meeting. And that's so for that information. That's for right now. That's it with regard to all of our reports from the our committee agendas. I'll announce our future meetings, our next meeting. All right, are there any other comments, questions, or concerns with non-related agenda items? Any comments from the public? All right, don't see none. Before we close, I just want to say to board members, please respond in email to Back to School Night. We really need board members to be present. My goal was to try to have 100% attendance. I know that might not happen, but I'm pushing for it. If you have not been in a school and that the area that you represent, I would ask that you please pick a school in the area that you represent. We have to become more familiar with we have new principals out there, so we have to become more familiar, especially at Bell. Even though we know the principal, Dr. Evans, we still need to go there. This is her first year at Bell. We need to make sure we have representation. I know we're spread thin, but board of directors, please get on out and get to know your principals in your community and your schools. Did you have anything?
I had sent an email requesting some other schools that I wasn't down.
I
for.
seen that,
So
yes.
it hasn't, it's just been received. It hasn't, I don't think it needs to be approved.
No, you just show up. What they'll
Right.
do is he has your information. So now he's just gonna let them know that you're coming in so they
Right.
can be aware.
We'll update the list.
Okay, if there's any schools without a school board director, let me know. and
Okay.
I'll make an effort to get that.
I'll take a look at the list this week and I'll get back to you on that. All right. Other than that, everybody stay safe out there, especially, I just want to say in the Darby area, everyone, please stay safe. And, stay in your homes. That's the best thing I can say. There's a lot of violence going on in that area right now. So I just want to say, was really, a lot of stuff's not being talked about, but I will say, just be safe, be in at nighttime, and make sure your kids are in at nighttime and not playing in the streets. So thank you very much for your time and everybody have a good night.